I want you to imagine a scenario where you have just purchased a brand new fighting game, and this one is gonna be the one. The one that you genuinely sit down and practice. Set into that training mode. Look up each character you want to play. Lab combos, lab Oki setups, lab everything you could possibly do to make sure your opponent knows you know how to play this fucking game and you know how to play it right. After a solid chunk of time of you doing this lab session, pretty much saying that you got the game relatively figured out, you hop online. You're so confident, in fact, that you actually go to ranked right away. No quick match. You want to make sure you climb to the ranks as fast as possible. Show these people exactly what the fuck you're about. With your relatively good fighting game knowledge from the past, you know that you could probably reach gold or plat in no time at all. Day one of the game, you patiently wait, load in, when suddenly, you don't remember seeing this character. Well, you've seen them, but you didn't really lab anything about them, and you aren't really specifically aware of the matchup per se. Besides, you've seen videos about this character stating that they aren't very strong and aren't gonna really be a character to worry about in the future, so it's not like it's going to be that big of a problem. All of that time, all of your precious hours labbing, time spent playing other fighting games, time you took out of your day to make sure that some random scrub playing a low-tier character that no one knows how to fight couldn't lame you out. But here it is. It's happening to you right now, and by god damn it, I've played longer than him. I've done more than him. I deserve to win more than this asshole does. He doesn't play and grind as hard as I do. Is unfortunately a very common scenario that we find ourselves. I'd actually would like to bet that almost every single time someone quits a fighting game, it is because of this very reason. A lot of the things that we've covered recently are common, but I think that this one is like the leading cause for why people quit fighting games. Time management. Time investment in a fighting game is something that is incredibly crucial, but also can be something that is very, very hard to maintain. I think something that inspired this definitely has to deal with the way that I've noticed a lot of people tend to lab games. I'll take it one step further and say, as a fighting game player, time is your worst enemy, but also an incredibly useful tool. I want to cover some topics as to why time can genuinely make some people feel like they are, for lack of a better term, entitled to their wins. While understandable, it can be an incredibly toxic trait that allows you to feel as if the only reason why you are losing is because the game itself or any other external factor is the only reason you are taking these L's. Starting off, let's go back with our example. Some of you are a lot newer to the fighting game spaces, and this is actually, again, the target demographic of why I actually, make these videos is for newer fighting game players. Because tackling the mental state of how you play fighting games is actually really important, and not a whole lot of people talk about it. So, a lot of you may not know this, but you can actually lab wrong. Yeah, it turns out, labbing constant combos and hit confirms and Oki setups is cool and all, but if you can't hit that shit in a match, it doesn't really matter. And again, I bring up all of these things because this is the most difficult part of a fighting game. Time management. The managing part of it is something that a lot of people don't want to do. Especially if it's in a video game. People barely handle time management in real life, let alone something that they want to do for fun. So you're telling me that I have to accurately manage my time in my lab? Yes and no. You see, putting in time in the lab isn't exactly essential for the fighting game experience, but if you are setting expectations for yourself to do very well, You need to make sure that that actually comes with the consequence of having to put in a little bit of extra effort. And that extra effort isn't just throwing yourself in the training room for hours on end, doing the same combo over and over to make sure that you actually have it down pat. It's important, but execution is something that can come with time. Again, it is your worst enemy, but also your most valuable resource. So, if labbing can be done wrong, what's the right way to do labbing? Well, it's a little bit more of a complicated answer, and that correct way to lab, in my opinion, would be to mess around with as many characters as possible. Dance around the list. Or, let's say that we go back to our scenario. You were consistently getting drive impacted over and over and over again. You know for the 100th time that all you have to do is react with DI again, but you're really bad at it. You're really, really bad at reacting to DI. So maybe you can find an alternate solution to DI in order to be able to reverse this situation, make up for your weaknesses. It's not the end all be all that you can't DI back. Jumping over the DI and having an awesome punish is really, really solid. Jump and punishes tend to have the most damage. While on another end, throwing your opponent out of DI and into the corner to cause you to have the upper hand in the situation is also another beneficial idea. There are so many different ways, and I think a lot of people take a very binary approach to fighting games, which causes them to think that just because they put in more time in the lab means they're entitled to their W's, when that's not the case. Strong, dependable setups, strong, dependable options will always beat out your constant need to fish for a combo you labbed for 3 hours. Another way that time can be used isn't just for the lab, it's also being sure that you actually play other game modes. Again, I've stressed this enough in other videos, but going to ranked right away isn't really a good time investment. I think ranked is a good way to measure just how far you've come and also how far you need to go. But never use it as a way to validate your entire existence as a fighting game player. Spend time in quick match. Spend time with friends playing the game, an incredibly important time investment. Spending times with friends in fighting games is the perfect place to actually practice fishing for that combo, trying to find more effective ways to hit that combo that you spent 3 hours landing, and then all your friends can pop off when they see the sick-ass combo you've been labbing. But immediately going into ranked mode or immediately going into online after your lab session and getting incredibly frustrated because you can't hit the thing that you invested so much time into is a surefire way to decimate your mindset. Please, find a better process in order to be able to find more joy in your fighting game. Find more joy in hitting those things more consistently, because consistency is key, but at the same time, if you're not doing it consistently, it's just going to cause you to dip mentally. So the key takeaway is, if you're only spending time in training room and online, you're going to find yourself in an endless cycle of not being able to do the things that you want to do in training mode and going back to the training mode to practice them, wondering, if I can hit it in the training mode so often, why can't I hit it online? It doesn't make any sense. Constantly bitching about external factors that have nothing to do with the reason why you are not able to do the things you do in practice mode online. Therefore, causing you to not want to play the game anymore, which isn't what we want at the end of the day. Play with friends, play on casual matches, look up videos, spend your time wisely, but that doesn't mean it has to be boring. It can be an engaging, fun thing to do, and an activity that you can enjoy with your friends as well. Hell, if you're learning and you want your friends to get into fighting games, bring them in. It can make the time management a lot more fun. I appreciate you guys listening in on this, and thank you very much for watching, and I hope I made you think today. What are some of the ways that you use your time wisely in order to be able to thoroughly be able to lab, be able to comprehend the things that you've learned? Do you write things down, or do you just say fuck it and just go into training mode and that's your, fighting game experience for the day? I do know people like that, actually, that exclusively are like combo artists that just sit in the training room and, play play the fighting game that way, discovering different ways that different characters can do things. That is the way that they manage their time with their fighting games, and that's a perfectly acceptable way to do so. I guess I should also let the you know, talk about the giant 2 month sized elephant in the room. Yeah, I've been gone for a really long time. Having to get a job while, well, not just a job, but two jobs while also being a father, takes a lot of time away from my content creation process. So finding the free time to be able to make these videos is really, really difficult. So I hope that this one's at least a little bit entertaining for you guys. Another one will be coming out sooner, rather than later, I promise. But yeah, thanks you guys so much for watching and sticking around. I understand if some of you guys left after seeing this get uploaded, but yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next one.